Elijah, it's great to be with you, mate. Now, I haven't spoken to you in 12 months, and last time we spoke with each other, we talked about having big goals, big dreams, and we shared that passion and thirst for success and achieving our goals. I haven't spoken to you in 12 months, and tonight we're just going to have a catch-up meeting, but I thought why not? Why don't we record this and we'll tailor it into something that's useful. I mean, just listening to you talk is going to be useful for anyone listening. So, Elijah, thanks so much for joining us, mate. You're over in the US at the moment. It's April 2020. And can you just tell us a bit about your background, mate?
Absolutely. I am from Ohio originally, born and raised in Ohio, and grew up on a farm, a hardworking kid. But I didn't want to work with my hands my whole life, if that makes sense.
So you became a dental hygienist.
I didn't want to work and pick up heavy materials with my hands and sweat. And so anyways, my family was in the dental industry. I figured I would get into the dental industry, but I knew that it takes money to make money. So I would, I only practiced, for a short time, but I decided I wanted to go into college, to be into dentistry. I tested out of high school at 15 years old and became a motivational speaker at 15, started speaking at middle schools first, then high schools. Fast forward 6 years, graduated from Ohio State University. That's 2009. Moved to the islands of Hawaii, started my very first business. That business was my first of now about 17.
What business was that?
It was a dental staffing agency.
Yeah.
Yep, dental staffing agency in Hawaii. Expanded it to all of the islands of Hawaii, and started a few other businesses out there. Moved to Vegas. Started speaking in dentistry as well. So I transitioned from only speaking in high schools and middle schools to also speaking in dentistry. Started speaking for Invisalign first, and Invisalign spoke for them probably about 50 cities, and then transitioned to speaking. Got recruited from Straumann. So started speaking for Straumann, spoken about 50 cities.
What's Straumann?
Straumann is the world's number one and largest dental implant company, international Swiss implant company.
So you've run an employment agency, essentially, helping employ staff in dentistry. Then you've also worked for Invisaligns for orthodontics. They do clear kind of braces and implants.
Well, there's a ton of missing things in there. I'm just speeding through because this could be a 40-hour podcast. But basically, I'm just telling you about my speaking career in dentistry. So I never worked for them. They just basically, when I was running multiple businesses, I would go to a city and I would speak at night, and they would pay me to speak for 2 hours to their group of dental professionals while I was there, right? And so I was never an employee of theirs, technically. They just paid me an honorarium to go speak on their behalf. And so then in 2016, I went independent. By 2016, I had started about, I don't know, we'll say 8 to 10 businesses, something like that. I went independent as a speaker, and I started a business a year prior called Smiles at Sea. Smiles at Sea is a cruise business where I bring speakers in from all over the world to speak on a conference on a cruise ship and get people continuing education. And fast forward 2018, I wrote a best-selling book on Amazon called Serial Entrepreneur: From Startup to Success.
I could listen to this forever. Yeah. I tapped back on my
my speaking so much. I stopped speaking in dentistry so much, and I focused more back to speaking in the high schools. 2019, tried to pivot to basically switching from speaking to one high schools to gearing up to speaking to 10 to 20 high schools at once. So I started a nonprofit called the Ladder of Life, and the Ladder of Life is that is essentially the new season for 2020, which got kind of taken to a halt with the coronavirus. So we'll be kicking that off then towards the end of 2020. But 2019, I dropped about 70 pounds and was focused on me and getting in the best shape that I
You're
could
looking
be.
good, brother. You've lost weight since I spoke to you last. You're looking good. I've been seeing photos you've been posting up at the moment. Training hard, yeah?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
How's the diet going as well? You've been...
Oh, yeah, everything's good. Diet's good. Life is good.
Killing it.
Yep. And
you're a father.
What's that? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Yes. So about being a dad?
Yeah, how's it going? Have you just got, is it one child you've got?
No, I have a second one now. She's about to be 1 year old here in a couple of weeks, and a 5-year-old.
Yeah. I remember. I think, it was all because I think your child had just been born since I spoke to you last. So a very busy father of two.
Yeah.
Can you share with us a difficult time in your life that you feel comfortable sharing? A really difficult time in your life that was challenging for you, and to tell us about the experience emotionally, what you went through, and what you did to overcome it and your mentality to overcome it.
Yeah, I've been through 2 extremely difficult times in my entire life, but I'm glad I can count them on 2 fingers. I guess I could probably tell you the one that was most recent. That just happened during this quarantine time. First of all, I guess I'll go back to the first one. First one was when I was about 21 years old, and I had my entire career, my football career, ripped from me early on in high school, and I had to take the academic route instead. I then went to Ohio State, and they had told me this whole time that I had been overdiagnosed, and I could have played football all along. I went into like the worst state of depression. I went into my room and didn't come out for like 4 days. It's probably the most rock bottom ever. And then, recently with the coronavirus, about a month ago, I got ultimate rock bottom for sure. When you have multiple businesses and your businesses are essentially, you don't work in them, you work on all your businesses, and you have a ton of people that are dependent on you, and they're not just depending on you, for themselves. They have families, right? So you got a lot of people depending on you to put food on the table for their kids and their families. And so you almost feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulder. And whenever the world comes to a stop because of the virus, essentially, and there's nobody spending money and there's nobody doing things, and things are getting canceled, and your business depends on it, or multiple businesses, you're faced with a decision. What do you do? Do you pivot? Do you change your businesses? And so, in the midst of me doing all of this stuff, I'm working in the businesses, not on them, and trying to save all of them, and trying to make the best decisions. And people can get nasty. When you're trying to do the right thing, and people don't really understand what's behind the scenes. People can get nasty, and be very hateful and mean, and it can be tough. And I had an option: do I sit around and pout, mope, or do I stand up and move forward and push forward, be around people that are positive? And I decided I was going to get up, and I put my phone down for a day and stayed around my family, and went around my peer group, entrepreneur organization that gave me some solutions, and followed through on those solutions, and got myself in a good headspace. And I didn't lay off one person. I put food on the table for everyone, and I pivoted in my business, and I succeeded. And
Killing it, brother. Killing it, bro. I'm cheering for you, bro. I'm your number one fan right now, man.
Yeah, and now we're
animal, bro.
We're doing good, and we're gonna set ourselves up to have the best third and fourth quarter of the year, and the best year will be 2021. Have the best comeback.
Killing it, bro. Killing it. Stronger than ever. I can see it in your eyes, bro. I can see the focus in your eyes. I can see the concentration. Pure deliberacy, purpose. Everything's deliberate.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Power to you. Tell me about the 4 days you spent in your room after you found out that you were overdiagnosed. Tell me about your mental space. Tell me about what you did to get out. I mean, you just shared some very important points. I'm just going to highlight, before you answer that question, I'm just going to highlight some points that you mentioned there. You're in a difficult time. You acknowledged it. You reached out for help. You reached out to your family and your friends. You adulted up. You had a plan. You did it. You moved forward, and you didn't accept defeat. And you've been, you are right now, there's a level, I can see it in your eyes, there's a level of unconditional optimism and leadership, toughness, bulletproof, impenetrableness. So there's some fantastic adult actions, real life by a real success and a real entrepreneur about how to get through some difficult times. So tell us about that emotional state after that 4 days, what you did, how did you deal with that as well?
Well, you just combined two stories. First off, the 4 days in my room was when I was 21 years old. I'm 32 years old now, so this is almost a decade later. So those are two different stories. So we go back 11 years. Well, that's not 11 years. It'd probably be about 12 years. I was 20.
I love you, man.
22. And so I go back to that room at 22 years old and how I was feeling. It's almost like you feel like the wind just got knocked out of you, and you don't care to go out of the room because there's no point. Like, you don't care. And so you just stay there, and it was like your purpose is gone, right?
Yeah.
And so like I was, my big thing is like I felt like I was born to play football and wrestle, and that got taken completely away from me. Like, I had full ride scholarships, that were sitting there that was waiting for me to go to college. And even though I did get a full ride scholarship for college for academics, I had a full ride scholarship waiting for me for sports. And I loved sports. I mean, in high school, I was that guy, like captain of the team and scoring touchdowns and going to states every year for wrestling. And to get that completely pulled from you at the beginning of high school is detrimental to a kid who that's what his life is. He's that guy, especially when you're the only black kid in an all white high school. Okay. Yeah. And that's what you're bringing to the table. You know what I mean? And now that kid can no longer play sports for you. So how does he fit in anymore? And so when that's ripped away from you at that fragile age, it's like the worst thing ever. Then when somebody comes to tell you 4 years later, hey, you know that doctor that told you you couldn't do it because your top vertebrae was fused to your skull, and then those 3 doctors after that were your second opinions, those were the specialists. They told you you also couldn't go because it was too big of a liability. Well, they didn't tell you. They told you that you couldn't go because the first doctor told you and the second doctor told you, and it was too risky. They really didn't look too deep at your x-rays. They see that you were a kid. They didn't want to risk it. They didn't want to risk their license. They didn't want to have that riding on their name. So they told you no. But actually, your neck is stronger than most people's neck in this place. You could have been playing all along. You were overdiagnosed. To know that your entire career was completely ripped from you, and everything that you knew, that's a kid. That's your entire career gone. It completely eliminates you. It was the worst feeling ever. So all that was going through my head was, I do not want to get out of this bed. Like, I don't want to get out of this bed. I'm not hungry. I don't want to get out of here. I have no reason to leave this bed. It was complete depression. And so, it comes a point to where you just have a choice. Do you stay here and stay in the state of depression forever? And do you drop out of school? Do you give up on life? Like, what do you do? Or do you have a bigger purpose? And I felt like my bigger purpose was to go and tell my story. And I had a bigger purpose, and it wasn't sports, because if it was sports, I would have been doing that for 4 years. And so I had a choice, and I had to pivot, and I had to get up, and I had to get out. And so that feeling was a feeling of hope and of need, of people needing me. So I got up because I knew that it wasn't just about me. It was about helping other people. It was a similar feeling that I felt just last month, because I'd never been in that place ever. Feeling of rock bottom. It was the worst feeling that you could ever be in, when you have multiple people that are really bashing you, for things that you can't help. And meanwhile, your world is crumbling down, and you could sit there and watch the walls of your world crumble down with your people inside of it, and, pout. Or you can get out the cement and some new bricks, and you can go build a new house, or you can patch up those walls, and you can support the people that are in those houses, or you can move and relocate those people to a new house. And I chose to relocate those people. And now the people are safe, and they're going to be built in the best structured walls around them, because I had a choice, because the people needed me. It wasn't about me, it was about them.
Yep. You had a choice as to how you would respond to adversity. And everyone has a choice. Everyone chooses. It's your choice whether you choose to be offended or complimented. It's your choice how you interpret things. And it's your choice how you to apply it. Some fantastic lessons of reaching out to those that love you, picking yourself back up, being an adult, getting support, and choosing to look at it in a way to support others, and drawing in on the strength of others. I've been in the same position before myself, some of my most rock bottom time. And it got to the point where I didn't care about myself anymore at all. Like you were eliminated. And from there on, you have to pull through for your family member and your friends, because if you let yourself self-destruct, you go down into a negative spiral, heading towards nothing. That in itself could be interpreted as a purely selfish act. You need to pull through for your family member and your friends. You need to pull through for them. Because if you're lucky to have a person that actually loves you, like a parent or a child or a spouse, you're very lucky, because there's some that don't. And if you're lucky enough and fortunate enough to have at least one of those relationships like Elijah or myself, you'll do it for them, because you cannot harm yourself because you care too much and you have to pull through for them. And this gentleman here has acted as a pillar, a support structure for something that provides a benefit to others, a roof, jobs, income, food on the table. That's called being an adult. Whether you're a female, it makes you a woman, and if you're a man, a male, that makes you a man. Respect, brother. Hey, brother, where can people follow you if they want some more inspiration? If they want to come to you for tips or anything like that, where can people find you? Can you give us a plug?
Absolutely. They can go to ElijahDesmond.com, or they can go to my nonprofit website. It's theladderoflife.com, or they can find me on Instagram at motivation501.
An absolute tremendous inspiration. I love you, man. Seeing that face is always good. I really appreciate your time today, brother. I know you're a busy man.
Yes, no problem. No problem at all.